All right, folks, let's talk about a game changer, literally. If you're a brand or retailer in the outdoor industry, think of Endeavor like the ultimate power-up for your sales game. This platform is designed to level up retail associates, giving them the XP they need to master your gear, sell more, and rack up rewards along the way. It's like a cheat code for better sales, making sure your products don't just sit on the shelves but actually move. Why is this valuable? Well, trained and motivated staff sell way more gear. Brands using Endeavor, like K2 Sports and Smith Optics, have seen better sell-through, stronger brand engagement, and real data insights on what works. And here's where Endeavor gets really interesting. It's gamified. That means learning about products and earning incentives feels fun and not like homework. But there's also a couple of other power-ups you'll want to consider. First is their partnership with Locally, so online shoppers can instantly find a knowledgeable staffer in a nearby store ready to seal the deal. Second is an option known as Freemium, where you can launch brand assets, push newsfeed posts, and coordinate rep clinics. And with Endeavor's pay-as-you-go plans, you can take sales contests, education campaigns, or collect staff insights collection programs all out for a test drive. The bottom line, if your retail game is feeling like it's stuck in easy mode, Endeavor is the upgrade you need to unlock next-level sales, max out your team's knowledge, and beat the boss when it comes to customer experience. Head to Endeavor, that's endvr.io, to learn more today. Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, why should I have to pod with Justin Housman when I could pod with the GOAT? It's Shawnté Salabert!
Woo! I feel like I should make a goat noise, like.
Not that kind of goat.
Oh, the Serena Williams type of goat, but
yes!
different. All right, I'm into it.
You're
Thanks.
the goat of potting. I'm just saying that right now.
This is all a lie, but you know what? Fake it till you make it is what I like to say.
I don't know. Justin's had to miss a few episodes. We said before we hit recording, I don't think we've ever had a stand-in for a co-host. So this is a big moment for the show.
You know, I'm not as tall as Justin, but arguably maybe a little cooler. I don't want to start a fight here, but you know.
You did not throw any tantrums on our top 5 accessories episode, so
nor did I forget any major brands.
I did that.
You did that. I'm now the sole host of the Rock Fight.
I didn't tell you, Dave apparently got multiple emails about how we were being mean to him on the pod when he wasn't there.
Oh, he can handle it. He's a sturdy guy.
He is. He thought it was very funny. And actually, we are planning the last of the top 5 series, which is apparel. And we were talking a little bit about how that's going to go down today and how it's going to be really, really hard because there's so many brands. So that'll be fun.
So many. But yeah, I'll be back for that, but
yes.
For better or worse.
Oh, for better. But as we mentioned, our guy, Justin Housman, he is off this week. So today, Shawnté and I are going to be talking about some of the brand news that come, the brand news. That was last week's outline. We're talking about some of the news that come out of over the past week from the outdoor community. But before we get any of that, if you missed Monday's episode of The Rock Fight, you missed what we called the state of the outdoor economy. Go check it out. And be sure to come back this Friday, where I'll be giving one of my patented outdoor hot takes. What's it going to be about? You might want to know. I'll let you know on Friday. I'm still writing it. I'm not sure. I don't want to commit on Wednesday. So, hey, do you want to read Justin's stuff or do you want me just to keep going? Do you want to go full co-host?
Oh my gosh, I totally do. Wait, does it say Justin by it?
No, here, I'll add Justin so you can see Justin.
Considering how I messed up in the last one, you got to tell me what I should and shouldn't say.
By the way, it kind of came off great, by the way.
Like, I was that kid in school who was like, I would love to read every paragraph in this book, teacher. Let me read.
I just got the sense the way we played that is that you and I should go join an improv group together because I think we would both crush it. we did so well.
Perfect. All right, so I am now playing the esteemed role of Justin Housman on this podcast, at least for right now. So, hey, listeners, have you subscribed to Rock Fight's weekly newsletter? If not, what the hell, man? This is a real newsletter with real content, not just another outdoor link aggregator. So head over to rockfight.co and click join the mailing list to sign up. Do it or else me, fake Justin, would be very, very sad. But you know what? If you're new around here, we would love to subscribe. We would love to have you subscribe. We are already subscribed, guys. And join the rock fight by hitting the follow button on whatever podcast app you're listening to us on, and also give us that 5-star rating that we so deeply deserve.
All right, our top story today is presented by your hub for ultralight gear, Garage Growing Gear. Head to garagegrowinggear.com and check them out. So the first story I want to talk about today, last week, the North Face launched another collaboration with a fashion brand, and this time it was, is it Cecily Bonson? Do you know? I don't know if I feel like I'm not pronouncing that correctly. It's Cecily, I'm assuming.
Danish, so Cecily Bonson. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw her studio based in Denmark. So we're going to go with Cecily. We'll claim dumb American if we're wrong. That's Cecily Bonson, which is the brand name of their founder. I wrote about this in yesterday's newsletter for Rock Fight, and we've talked a lot about the North Face in the pod lately, but this collaboration I thought bore some interesting fruit. So, look, Shawnté, you are a very accomplished backpacker and outdoors woman. All right.
Moi.
You are. It's in print. You can go to bookstores and find your work. So either you're a very good liar or you're an accomplished outdoorsy person. But I mean, do you think less of the North Face when they do these type of collaborations? I've had a lot of folks that kind of weigh in on they're not core anymore but they've done like a dozen of these sort of high fashion collaborations. What's your take on this?
Well, first of all, I mean, you have to ask what I think of the North Face before you ask if I think less of the North Face. I mean, when I think of the North Face, I think of a brand that sort of straddles the line between, outdoor geek, like long-term sort of industry like a stronghold, right? But then I also think about the fact that they are, crossing over, and they always have. This is nothing new, like you just said. I don't look at the North Face and think it's just technical gear. In fact, I don't think I own a single piece of North Face clothing or equipment at all. And I'm pretty outdoorsy, as you mentioned. But do I think less of them for doing this? Do I think less of them for their Skims collab? No. I mean, this is what they do. They're in the mold of the Eddie Bauers of the industry. They're in the mold of, you can go back to Timberland and like how they became like one of the main crossover brands that hit the sort of everyday consumer and the outdoor market. I don't think there's anything new or, honestly, I hate to say it, groundbreaking about this. Like what they're doing is similar to what we see coming out of Japan and all of those sort of crossover fashion, outdoorsy sort of things. They're just bringing it to a wider market, maybe, with that sort of like TNF, name recognition.
I think people freak out about it because they're sort of like a Mount Rushmore outdoor brand. Like if you were going to make your Mount Rushmore, you'd give it consideration even if you decided not to put them on it. And I think that's why people get all worked up.
2025?
Well, if it's the history, right? I mean, well, who would it be?
I mean,
right?
Sure. You can go back and look at that as like, this is a core brand. It's been around. But I don't think, like, when I think about all of my friends who are out there climbing and paddling and running and backpacking and everything, I don't think anybody holds the North Face as some sort of North Star anymore as far as like...
No, not like that.
Yeah,
But
no.
what is? Is there anyone that is, right? I don't think anybody falls into that role anymore.
Is there? That's a really good question. Dun,
right?
Dun. Yeah. I mean, I think it makes complete sense that they venture into these sort of, these collaborations. I was going to say cross-contamination, but that's not at all what I mean. I mean, I think people love to see the weirdness of crossing high fashion and, quote, techie gear. I think that's something people have come to assume they're going to do because they have been doing it.
Well, good segue because this collaboration is almost sold out. If it's not, by the time you guys hear this, it might be sold out. And looking at the products it created, I thought it was awesome. I'll put a link in the show notes. If you look at it, completely different. I don't really know what the North Face brings to a collection like this. I mean, it's like it would be one thing to say this happened in the 1990s when like very few brands or fashion brands maybe had access to the kinds of fabrics that an outdoor brand would. So I don't really know other than just plopping a name on it and being like, hey, look, it's the North Face on a really weird looking fashion-y kind of garment. I don't really know what it does or who comes to that thinking that's so exciting. But of all these things, I really liked the product that they created. It was like very kind of almost head to toe, sort of like big, I don't want to say ponchos. It feels like it's like, diminishing if you call it a poncho, but it's kind of like a poncho, if I'm being honest.
It is. I mean, that was kind of the center of the whole collection, right? Is that sort of poncho-y, windjacket-y situation.
Right.
I also saw a dress in there. I saw some shoes. Like it felt, going back to that, what I was saying earlier, it felt sort of Japanese. It felt like the kind of thing that you're going to wear
totally.
in New York in the spring, maybe. I mean, it's... I thought it looked good. I mean, it's not for me. I am not a wealthy person that's buying high fashion collabs with the North
Yeah, it's like
Face.
$1,000 for one of these things. I mean, so it's like,
I have rent to pay.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't look very functional, if I'm being honest.
It doesn't. It's about the vibe. I mean, I really like when you ask what they're bringing to it. I think it's this idea that of, taking high fashion and, I don't want to say like lowbrow because the North Face is not lowbrow. It's a high quality brand. But it's that idea of like taking an everyman's brand, and I'm using that term loosely, and mixing it with this high fashion and the designer is Scandi, so you have that you have some elements of the Scandi minimalist, but it is a little more maximalist than most Scandi designers. It's not just like a beautiful, stark gray shift. It's got, it is all black, but there's movement to it. There's lightness to it. It was kind of interesting, honestly. If someone wanted to give me a piece to try, I could go for a trail run and maybe go on a little hikey poo in LA with some of that.
I think they're like, how many seating garments did you make? Like, we got all these extra $1,000, giant garments laying around just to give out to people. Like, try this out. See what you think. Maybe you'll buy one. But
I'll go prance around New York next time I'm there.
That's where you'd have to wear it. Not really much of an LA look.
No,
I think more of a colder weather kind of thing. I think I feel like I've talked a lot about the North Face on the show the last couple of weeks for, because they kind of keep finding themselves in the news or apparently, this is not a North Face show. In fact, I'm not going to talk about them again until they advertise. So North Face, there you go. This is your last chance.
Your last hurrah.
This is it, North Face. But we are going to talk about on the show next week because the word innovation gets thrown around a lot and I think there's a lack of agreement on what that word means for the modern outdoor industry. And when I look at this as a form of innovation, it's not that it's innovating for outdoorsy pursuits, but it's innovating the brand. It's innovating kind of like the position of an outdoor brand in sort of the broader fashion market. And as people tend to ignore, outdoor is part of fashion. We all make the things the same way. A lot of times we're using the same type of fabrics. It is a segment of the fashion world. So I think it's always interesting to kind of look at these things and, kind of learn from them if you can.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of two things on a very different, stylistic end. It makes me think of Outdoor Voices, and it makes me think of REI when REI started doing collections that were aimed at the everyday person that's maybe going on a picnic, going to the whole like festival collection they kind of did a while back. But these are, Outdoor Voices in particular was a brand that said like, hey, you don't need to just wear like khaki outside. Every women's outfit doesn't need to be pink it and shrink it. Let's actually make silhouettes that are flattering to a variety of body types. And let's make some colorways that are really interesting in all genders. And I think when you talk about innovation, like frankly, this to me is just kind of what's always been done when you cross-pollinate different styles of fashion. It's, you get like, oh, this is kind of like, ooh, edgy and cool for the North Face. But if we're talking about real innovation, I would go back to something like Outdoor Voices, because I think what they did changed people's perception of like what they would wear to go hiking, for instance.
Next story we're going to talk about is Jetboil. I've never talked to you about Jetboil. I'm sure you have opinions, but I did see that they put out a press release this week about a new product that they launched, which is a fast boil system, which is basically they're promising to make igniting the stove simpler. I was actually sent one of these yet. I have not had a chance to use it. I don't know if you were on if you got that initial thing.
No, I want to know. Okay, so the Jetboil, my very first backpacking stove, my second ever backpacking stove was a Jetboil that I won when I was a student in an outdoor course because I got 100% on my navigation exam. Thank you very much. And
it's okay. You can brag about dorky things all you want on this podcast.
That's pretty fine. Much. I need anything. Just it gives me life.
Come back later this week for the 3-part series of Shawnté's navigation exam. It'll be great.
It's great. Listen, every time I've taught navigation classes, Kula Cloth used to do something called the Kula Academy. Maybe they're still doing it and they just stopped inviting me. I don't know. But I taught so many navigation classes. They just kept selling out and they'd have to sign me up for new dates.
Because you were just advocating for their products so much?
No. Yeah. When navigate into this corner and then pee behind that bush. No, it was just, a way to bring something, some education to the masses, Colin. Okay, navigation is cool. Anyway,
navigation is cool.
Have me on for a future podcast about navigation, and I will talk.
The Navigation Pod with Shawnté.
Woo-hoo, let's go places.
Sponsored by Kula Cloth.
All right, but what? Okay, well, let me just bring.
Sorry, all right. So your first backpacking trip, you're using Jetboil.
This is the problem with having me on the podcast, Colin, is that my brain is like a little shiny object ping pong machine. So Jetboil. I won one. That was my second ever backpacking stove. It was kind of like the original Jetboil, classic tall cylinder. And the thing is, I'm not sure what could make these things boil faster. They come with the piezo ignition already, so you're just pressing the little button. It's an enclosed, like the whole thing is designed just to be fast. That was the point of the Jetboil. So I want to know, like, what did they put in there? Is it a rocket? Is there like a rocket fuel cell in there? What's happening in here?
Yeah, it goes back to that innovation thing. Look, I'm sure, and I actually met with their PR folks, who's Darby, who we hang out with, and I got to see this at OMA last summer. I'm sure that it is an improvement on the product. The thing about Jetboil, though, I mean, they're just a reliable kind of great product. You know, it's one of those things. Maybe if you're more of a lightweight backpacker, it's not for you, but. I don't know. I kind of feel like Jetboil is now just like in the kit. Like if you're outdoorsy, you have a Jetboil. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go for a hike. I want to make some coffee on this hike. I'm just going to, I'll throw that in the backpack. You know what I mean? It's kind of ubiquitous, awesome product. The thing I wanted to ask you about, though, is given your background backpacking, what is your, like, I want to power rank camp stoves.
Oh, yes,
okay?
Yes.
All right. So we have, here are the candidates. All right. So we have the Jetboil, because, classic. Like, if you're doing Mount Rushmore accessories, is Jetboil on there? Maybe, right?
Yeah,
That's another
probably.
one of those, right? Right. Yeah, the MSR Whisper Light, like the original classic lightweight camping stove, backpacking stove. The Pocket Rocket, which I found, which I knew about, but then I was reminded of, and I was kind of trolling around Garage Grown Gear, their website the other day. And then the tin can stove. Got to talk about tin can stove, classic. And then, of course, the Coleman double burner.
Wow.
So I want you on your preference, not on like what you would use in certain circumstances. Obviously, it's easy to get there. But if you were going to power rank those 5 options.
If I were to power rank
5 through 1.
Those 5 through 1. First of all, my number 1 option is not on your list.
Oh, what is it?
It's the Soto Windmaster, because it sort of like combines the wind protection of a Jetboil, but the minimalism of the Pocket Rocket makes it a little lighter. And
interesting.
And I love that thing.
That's your number 1.
That's my number 1. It used to be a Pocket Rocket. That was my first backpacking stove I ever got. Love it. They are portable. They're affordable as far as backpacking stoves go. But they suck in the wind. They really do. And you don't have a whole lot of burner control. And I love to cook. This is something you're probably learning about me for the first time. But I have taken like fresh vegetables deep into the backcountry.
I think you've told me this before.
Oh, I will make 4-course meals out in the backcountry. I have made charcuterie boards. Oh yeah, I do not mess around. In fact, Colin, back when I was using Twitter before it got deranged, I tweeted a picture of a charcuterie board that I made by cleaning a slab of rock and adding all the accoutrements, all the delights that we brought on the trip. Tweeted a picture of that, which was then retweeted and commented on by Chrissy Teigen, who you may or may not know.
Get out of here.
Supermodel who also writes cookbooks. So I felt very validated.
Legend.
I was
Power
like,
couple.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Come, bring your hubs. He can serenade us while we eat some cheese in the backcountry, and then you can borrow my bidet because we're going to be besties like that.
Right, and that's why she's hanging out behind you right now. You guys have been never stopped hanging out since then.
Yeah.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hey, Chrissy.
Yeah. Do you think Pocket Rocket has ever suffered by the fact that it's also a sex toy?
Yeah, I wonder when I do think about that when I tell people, oh yeah, you should get a Pocket Rocket. How are you not Googling that?
Like, well, which one are you talking about? Because maybe I should get both?
Adam and Eve? Do I get it from the lion's den out on the highway, like the desolate, lonely highway?
Missed opportunity by them, by the way. They should lean into that and make really irreverent social media posts if they haven't already.
Or at the very least, just buy buy the Pocket, right? There's got to be a company out there, right? Like, and then they just sell their own tiny vibe for the trail.
There should be. Actually,
listen,
trail-worthy sex toys is a good topic for a podcast. Yeah. We should probably have that conversation.
Yeah, but that might be a Dear Abby conversation.
I also like the idea of them acquiring that brand, and then it's almost like an old school video store when you go to their website. Like it's like a curtain that you're not supposed to go behind. And the kids are all trying to look in and see what's going on in there.
I was gonna say there will be some guy with a mustache over there, but then I'm looking at you right now on Zoom, and you are a guy with a mustache.
I have a beard now.
Maybe this all works.
Okay, so all right, so we got Jetboil Whisper Light. what was it?
Okay.
Sorry, I closed
I gotta
the
go
tab.
back and rank. I gotta rank. Okay, here.
You gotta do your power
here's
ranking.
my ranking. So wait, what is
Do
number
it.
1 on top? Is number 5 on top? What's my
Number one's the best.
Okay, that
So
makes
go
sense.
5 through 1.
Okay, 5 is going to be the Coleman double burner. I'm not going to take
How
that
dare you.
backpacking. Is
Well,
this
this
a
isn't
backpacking?
backpacking, but this is just your favorite stove list.
All right, rewind. 5 is going to be the tin can. I do not listen, it's cheap, it's great, but you know what?
People swear by that, though.
I know. Ultralight backpackers love these things. You make it out of a cat food can, you make it out of a beer can, whatever. The problem is you have to use alcohol. These are alcohol stoves. And so I have watched people set grass on fire using them, and I am much too clumsy. I cannot be trusted. So I don't want to be the cause.
Go back to listen to the last episode when Shawnté was on about how she feels about fires.
Yeah, guys, not into that. So I'm trying not to start my own. I get my California campfire permit every year, and I promise those people that I will be a good Smokey the Bear. So we're going to put tin can at number 5.
Love it. Okay.
Then I'm going to say...
Is that Coleman? Then go. Sorry.
Ooh, no, wait. Now, hang on, because we're going to put the... this is sacrilege. I'm going to commit some sacrilege right here. The Whisper Light is number 4.
Okay. It's just the legacy.
It's the legacy.
Right. It was kind of that
like
first one, the white gas, the whole thing. Right. Yeah.
Although, wait, I do a lot of...
Do you want to swap out Whisper Light for Pocket Rocket?
No, yeah. Because I do a lot of winter backpacking, and you do want the white gas for that.
Okay, so it should be on the list.
All right, we're going to keep it on the list. We're going to keep it high.
That's number 4.
We're going to put, fine, we're going to do Tin Can 5, Pocket Rocket 4. I'm so sorry, Pocket Rocket. You were my first. I love you. Jetboil number 3. Really, those things boil water. They're really good at it. They're also great for winter camping.
That's what I mean. I don't see that as that's not a the disparagement on Jetboil.
It's not. It's not. They do their thing really well, and you can get those kind of wide, low, big ones where you can cook inside, but it's not the best cooking vessel. But it does.
It's one of those if you're outdoorsy, it's in your kit. There's very few other products like Jetboil that are in that kind of camp. So totally.
I mostly use mine to melt snow these days, but
there you go.
Yeah. All right, so then if we're going, and then we'll put the Coleman double burner at number 2 because that is a classic. I own one. It was probably the first outdoor stove I've ever owned. They work as advertised, and they're ubiquitous. You could see them everywhere. Anyone can learn how to use one of those suckers. I've cooked a lot of good food on a Coleman.
There you go.
And then, let's go ahead and put the Whisper Light at number 1, knowing that if I had my druthers, it would be the Soto Windmaster.
It'd be the Soto Windmaster. I got you.
Yeah.
Is the Soto Windmaster available on Garage Grown Gear?
It might be. I would have to look. I'm going to guess that if they could, they would sell it because it's really popular with backpackers. In fact, maybe that is where I bought mine. That's a great question.
Well, because if you're looking to lighten your load, Garage Grown Gear is your go-to hub for backpacking gear from the coolest small and ultralight brands out there. If you're through hiking long distances or just overnighting with some friends, backpacking is more comfortable when you're carrying less weight in your pack. With free shipping on orders over $50, GGG makes lightening your pack an easy and fun experience. Check out the most specialty of specialty shops. That's a good tagline. Got to give them respect on that one. At GarageGrownGear.com.
GGG. I've never, ever, I just always say it out loud. It's like when I say Ross, I don't say Ross, I say Ross Dress for Less. Garage Grown Gear.
You just say it all together.
I say it all together.
Yeah. Are you a Scott Pilgrim versus the World fan?
No.
Oh.
Not for lack of, I just haven't seen it, read it.
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh, we need to figure out a way to make that outdoorsy so we can do it for the podcast. Because it's like...
I can watch it
outside in parts of that.
I'll watch it on my phone outside.
There's snow. It's fine. Yeah, there you go.
Just vertical limit.
There's a GGG logo in there, and I can't see GGG for Garage Grown Gear without thinking of Scott Pilgrim. But anyway.
I have zero reference.
All right. I know, right? So I have a new segment for the show, and this next segment is presented by Oboes, but I need help naming it, right? So it's going to be, I got some options here. So more Everest, more problems. That's my first option. Everyone loves hiking. Everyone is annoyed by Everest.
No.
Yeah. Ice doctors or spin doctors?
Ice doctors
I don't know.
Or spin doctors.
I couldn't. I was struggling. I should have used ChatGPT.
I immediately have that song in my head.
Two princes are in your head now?
Yeah.
You're of a certain age. I'm there with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that.
That's my gift to you for the rest of the week.
Cool.
I'm going to get random texts from you God damn it, it's still in my head.
I hate you, Colin.
Well, the reason I'm bringing this up because it's preseason time for Mount Everest stories. You got OTAs and training camp. And then that opens up the season because all of our annual Everest stories are going to hit soon. It's like they play the hits every year. It comes springtime. But according to Explorers Web, this upcoming season, the famed Sherpa Ice Doctors, who every year have to find a route through the Khumbu Icefall, which is known as the, quote, shittiest job on Everest, because it's a pretty shitty job where you have to figure out how to, like, let's find a route through this massive icefall where we could die at any moment and there's no clear path. We'll put ladders where we need to over things that we will die if we fall into them.
They will move by the inch every single day.
Right. So they're getting a hand this year. This year, cargo drones will scout ahead of the Ice Doctors and find the safest line. A team of drone operators are currently on their way to Everest Base Camp as of this recording. They will then map the best route through the icefall to Camp 1. Apparently, the Ice Doctors have also already begun fixing lines, but now they will have help as they work on the rest. I mean, I'm always sort of torn on these types of stories because on one hand, it's like, this is great. These poor people who have this shitty job, they're getting an assist. On the other hand, it's another case of like just more shit arriving on Everest. It's like, oh, good, now we have like drones like zipping around the Khumbu Icefall. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you have any? What are your thoughts on Everest?
My thoughts on Everest. I mean, so one of the outlets that I've written for a lot over the years that I super duper respect is Alpinist. And there is a never writing about Everest rule for Alpinist because it's so far removed, I think, from what we consider, true mountaineering to be. And it's not to say that it doesn't take skill, especially if you're climbing out there on your own. You see that every year. And I've certainly never been up there. Not that I necessarily wanted to. I think it's, I hate to say that it's been cheapened, but, Everest is a...
Oh, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. Yeah, that's true. It will cost you...
a lot of money. Potentially your life.
Yeah, small price to pay for Instagram photos and glory for the rest of your life. But,
right.
I think it's a sacred place for a lot of people. And
totally.
It's also, by all accounts, a beautiful place that has been sort of used and abused by many, many people seeking that glory. So I'm not a fan of the sort of like, let's go conquer mountains vibe. It's just,
same.
I think we should be so far past at this point in humanity. Why do we still do this? Everest to me, it's interesting when I've read, John Krakauer arguably is why I got into backpacking. I'm kind of mad about that, but yeah.
Are you going to pick fights with YouTubers on your podcast as well, or on your YouTube channel?
Soon I will. Yeah.
Okay, good.
But no, I don't. I think to each their own. It's not on my list. It's not a place that I think I'll ever visit. I would love to see it from afar when I don't have to see all the shit that's on it, literal and metaphoric. So.
Right. No kidding.
Yeah.
It's one of these things where I'm not going to talk about it on the pod. I don't want to bring it on. But then every year there's just this parade of stories come out. So clearly they're getting clicks and people want to continue to read these things. I'm with you.
Obsessed,
Yeah, and this is probably where maybe the Spin Doctors reference works because again, we're of a certain age and I read into I read Into Thin Air, which I've joked on the pod before, always cracks me up that I read this horrific story of people dying on the world's tallest mountain, and I'm like, I want to go do more outdoorsy things.
Yep.
How the hell does that happen?
What is wrong with me? Into the wild?
Yeah.
I would love to go solo backpacking. Yes.
Well, that's where Outside got it wrong with their recent edicts about what to write about. It's no, actually, it's this sort of reverse psychology thing where people read these horrific stories and they're like, I want to go outside too.
Yes.
So it's bizarre the way we are wired.
I wonder, do you think that's because we think that subconsciously we think I could do it better, or subconsciously we're like, maybe one day I could write a bestseller about the things that went wrong on my trip?
We should probably seek out some sort of psychotherapist to come on and talk. There's got to be some reason why the people find inspiration. Even the perfect storm. I've never want to go on a fishing boat, but there was a really inspirational thing about that made me. I don't know. It's a bizarre thing.
It's a weird
thing.
It's a
weird human trait.
I mean, speaking of Outside, I interviewed Tammy Ashcroft years ago for Outside. She is the woman that the movie Adrift was based on. She wrote a book about, I think it was called Red Dawn, something like that.
That's another good movie.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Shailene Woodley, good on her for being alone a lot in the water.
Wait, are we talking about Red Dawn?
Red Dawn,
not Red Dawn. The Patrick Swayze movie
nope.
from
We are not. I'm forgetting the name because her book isn't called Adrift. It's called something else. But I interviewed her, and I remember being done with the interview. This poor woman has, spent all this time just alone in the middle of the ocean without a working sail. Her partner's gone overboard, missing. And I was like, boy, what an adventure. Like, what's wrong with me? I live in California. I don't ever go to the ocean because it terrifies me. Why do I suddenly find the need to get on a boat? I don't want to get on a boat, Colin.
Boats are scary.
Yeah.
I think big ocean voyages are Justin and I have talked about this. It's scary as hell. Yeah, I don't know what it is. And the Everest thing, it continues to just pique interest. And now I think it's a little bit of a car crash kind of interest because of the lines and things like that. We talked enough about that in the pod. But I don't know. Here we go. Drones now mapping out the Khumbu icefall.
Whee.
So that's the latest we have on Everest. Hopefully they pick up some bags of shit along the way.
That would be great.
Right?
Maybe some human remains to bring them back to their families.
Why not?
Why not?
You know. Anyway, this episode of The Rock Fight is presented by Oboes, who is helping us ask the question, how do I love hiking? Let me count the ways. And today's reasons, number 1, no Wi-Fi, no problems. Except when you forget the map, then it might be a slight problem.
But then you call me and I'll teach you how to navigate.
See? That's true. And you'll sell them a Kula cloth because that was part of the process, apparently.
I've got 5 at this point. I want one body, 5 Kula cloths. You do the math.
Number 2, tree conversations. They don't talk back. They sure listen well. Do you talk to trees?
I do.
Do they talk back?
Mostly when I'm hugging them, Colin. I like to think they're talking back. I mean, they have all this
It's
underground.
the ants that talk back.
Yeah, it's emotional for me.
Number 3 is that summit high, the unbeatable feeling of conquering something, even if it's just a big hill.
What you're really conquering is what's inside of you.
It is true. You're not conquering anything.
The hill does not give a shit that you're there.
The hill could not care less. Number 4 means finding your soulmates. We keep telling you about roads, rivers, and trails of Milford, Ohio. If you find yourself in the greater Milford area, pop in and say hi to the folks at Roads, Rivers, and Trails. Maybe buy a pair of Oboes boots while you're there. Also, I think it's fun that we're shouting out Ohio when Owen Comerford, who comes on the show, lives in Michigan. A lot of beef between, I don't have to tell you. You're from Wisconsin.
Oh, I know all about Midwestern beef, literal and metaphoric,
There you go.
My stepdad just retired from 43 years in the beef industry. True story.
Did he really?
He did. And he sent my sisters and I texts for 2 weeks that he was going to be, and it was worded the same each time. After 49 years of employment, 43 of them in the beef industry, I will be retiring soon.
How many? He sent you the same text message?
Yeah.
Very business. Or is he just,
No.
Did he's I found this one joke, I'm going to milk it for all that it's worth?
I'm going to go with copy paste is the answer here.
Listen, sometimes you just got to, play the hits. And apparently that one was working for him.
Yep.
And number 5, hiking means the Oboes Katabatic collection, which has added the all-new Katabatic LT, which takes the whole collection to a new level with a lighter package, improved performance, and additional environmentally friendly materials. Fast packing, day hiking, whatever your fancy, the Katabatic LT is your hiking shoe of choice in this hiking appreciation moment. It's brought to you by Oboes of Bozeman, Montana, certified B Corp, 6 million tree planter, and proud inhabitant of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Oboes is the maker of premium quality footwear for the trail and the Cupid to the outdoor world.
Wow.
Oboes, love hiking.
The Cupid to the outdoor world is quite a wow. Okay.
Justin was commenting on that Cupid. You don't see Cupid like we used to. No. And I was wondering, did Cupid get canceled somehow? Should we not be referencing Cupid?
I mean, wandering around naked all the time. Why, naked love babies. I don't know about that. Seems very sensual. Maybe that's for the podcast where we talk about the outdoor sex shop or whatever.
I do think that's that's got to be a thing.
It is a thing. I mean, not the shop. The shop doesn't exist yet.
Just pops up like magic on the trail when you need it. It's like a... All right. Well, it's time for the parting shot. It's time for the parting shot. My parting shot is that I want to let people know the hype is real. The other day, I got my first pair of Nordas, a pair of 002s. I'm still deciding if I'm okay with their naming convention. I kind of like it. It's just 00 and then a number.
Very
binary. I respect that.
Okay.
Yeah. So our normal Wednesday guy, Justin Housman, has been raving about these shoes since last summer, and I've heard many others also sing their praises, so my expectations could not have been higher. I really was okay, I'm probably going to love these. And as I've said on the pod before, I've been a Lone Peak guy, Ultra Lone Peaks for a long time. Last year, I tried out the Topo Pursuit 2s. Thought they were great shoe. I also recently tried out the Arc'teryx Norvans. They were okay. They look good. Great looking shoe. I will say
and
that.
it only
They
costs
look,
$7,000 each shoe.
yeah, I know. Actually, I was, yeah, right. That's right. And you have to fly to China to get them.
Yes.
I thought I'd probably end up back, though, in Lone Peaks, especially when I finally got a pair of the 9 Pluses, which I was excited to try out. Those are the ones with Vibram outsoles. But holy shit, as a new horse entered the race, the Nordas lived up to the hype and then some. They really feel like the best parts of a Lone Peak combined with the best parts of a Hoka. And if they can truly achieve making something that lasts 1,000 miles like they say they want to do, I think everyone needs to look out because they're $300, but it's like, well, finally, if you're going to get 1,000 miles out of them, that's completely worth it. The disposability of athletic footwear to me is one of the biggest problems we need to solve. So my parting shot is to Norda to, hey, figure out how to make that longevity a key part of what sets them apart in the messaging. They talk a lot about Dyneema, which is cool. We know our pal Lloyd at Garage Grown Gear is a big Dyneema guy. But most people who buy their shoes won't care about Dyneema. I think what they'll care about is not having to buy 2 to 3 additional pairs of shoes every year. So parting shot to you, Norda, to figure that out. But overall, holy shit, are these shoes good. Really, really surprised at how much I liked my Nordas.
Wow. All right. Well, you have finally convinced me. I keep hearing about Nordas. I have not checked them out. I got to check them out because you mentioned Ultras and you mentioned Hokas, 2 shoes I wear on trail. So, all right, fine, I'll look them up. I actually have been testing out a pair of Flux footwear's Adapt trail runners. They are, they're a barefoot style kind of, or I should really say like zero
Flux,
drop.
like flex capacitor?
Flux, yeah. No capacitor, just adapter.
No time travel.
I wish. I did run my fastest sprint the other day in them. So take of that what you may.
Interesting. I'm taking a look at these.
It could also just be because I've been lifting. I don't know if I told you.
You look pretty buff.
Thank you.
If I'm being honest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been lifting, so I'm going to attribute it to that. And also the fact that I wanted to get home and eat breakfast. But so these Flux shoes, I get them in the mail. I'm looking at them. I'm like, all right, they're super duper lightweight. They've got the kind of ultra giant toe box vibe going on, but not.
Which all shoes should have.
Yeah, they should. Your toes don't want to be all scrunchy in there. So my toes have a nice splay to them, as the technical wording goes. It feels gross to say that, but that's what they're doing in there. And
we back to the sex talk.
Right back to the sex talk. Sex talk with Shawnté. Wow.
There's the podcast.
I apologize for all the listeners you've just lost. So yeah, but these Flux. So I have been running in them. I've been wearing them at the gym because they've got zero drops, so they're great, and they've got a really thin sole, but the sole is super grippy, but it's not even Vibram. It's just like regular ass rubber. I shockingly enough love them.
Awesome.
I don't know what happened to me because I have arthritis in my feet. So for me, having like Hoka were recommended by my podiatrist, and he's like, old woman, you must wear these. And you know what? Don't tell him, but I kind of like these shoes. So
is it the Adapt Trail Runner? Is that the one that you have?
The Adapt Trail Runner.
I was just looking at that. Yeah, it's a good looking shoe, actually.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It actually looks nice. It feels nice. It has like a nice little built-in sock liner kind of situation, so I don't get any dirt in there. No schmutz. I love them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flux Adapt Trail Runners.
Yes.
Do you is that your parting shot? Do you have another parting shot?
Well, I'm gonna add a bonus parting shot, and this is more of like a meditative parting shot. I just got back from Austin. I was there for South by Southwest for the music festival. For people who don't know, I actually have a whole day job doing music licensing. I lead a double life. And so I was there for music, and this is, in all the years I've gone to Austin for South by Southwest, this is the most dead that it's ever felt. And it reminded me, it was just crickets for me. I think you had a different experience because you went earlier.
Yeah, I was outside the festival though. Yeah.
This was weird. It reminded me of when when the show was sort of suddenly vacillating between doing the weird 3 times a year thing and then, no, we're going to do it 2 times a year, and then we're going to go to Utah, and then we're not going to go to Utah, and then like all this stuff. It reminded me of one of those weird in-between third shows that they did where it was just the halls were dead and there was nobody there. Right. And it really got me thinking about what is the function of a trade show or a convention, a gathering of the people, as it would be in, whether it's any industry, music industry, outdoor industry. It just got me really thinking about what makes for a good modern trade show. So, Yeah. So they're apparently they're going to combine all of South by Southwest next year into 1 week where everything is happening simultaneously, music, film and TV and interactive, which
Okay.
I don't think is a bad idea. I think it's similar to the concept of, that people have talked about with combining different trade shows and trying to make everything sort of happen, simultaneously where you have a more, not maybe literally grassroots, but more like a grassroots and then the bigger stuff. I don't know. It just my parting shot is like, hey, trade shows, figure out what makes people tick in 2025. We want to be together. We want to find community. We want to have opportunities for discovery. And we're so sick of like all of the bland corporate shit that has taken over trade shows. So that's my parting shot is figure it out, guys.
I don't think it's that hard. And it's funny. It's really funny you bring that up because you kind of forget now, given between just COVID and everything else that happened, that there was, I don't know, 5-6 years where OR just kept trying to like bend to the will of every tiny group of like, we want more shows, we want less shows, we want it here, we want it there, we want to have it this time of year. And so it was kind of, everybody was a little ready to be done anyway. You kind of forget that now. And I've said this, we're going to Switchback. Switchback is advertised on the podcast. I'm optimistic, but I think the thing that they need to port over from the running event, and I think I've said this on the pod before, if I have, I'm repeating myself, is that the running event is it is a running trade show, but it doesn't feel like it's a trade show. It feels like it is a running event. It is like the running community showing up for this communal experience every November, December, whenever it is. That's what Switchback or whatever show wins needs to do, because it's not, no one's sitting around going, man, I really wish we had more opportunities to book orders, and see products and see line showings. No, everyone's saying, I wish we had more opportunities to get together. And have the vibe of the show. And Doug Schnitzbahn's been on here talking about how, remember when we'd have like the Conservation Alliance breakfast, it's kind of set the tone for like, this is the thing that's going to matter. And then booths had, little footprints out front for their environmental things that they were working on. And you would, then you come back 6 months later and be like, oh, what are you doing to kind of follow up on what you were working on 6 months ago? And
it felt like there was
that's
a
what it needs to
cohesive
be.
vision. It felt like people come together. We can each figure out sort of our role in it. It felt like, as a journalist, as a writer, there was a place for me there. Obviously, there's always a place for buyers and sellers. Like, or buyers and retailers. It's, it's something really important, though, I think, is this idea of human connection. And, we see that especially coming off of the pandemic or like, things like that, is that, like, let's be creative about this. Yes, we can get work done, but we get work done really well together. So let's take all of the good things that worked, kick all the bad things out the door, and let's try again. Let's try to, because it was sad. This South by Southwest was sad, and it just took me right back to that empty, like, Denver convention. I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm just walking around here, like, staring at nothing, and everybody pretending it's the emperor's, new clothes situation.
So I'd never been to South by before. I still technically haven't, right? Because I went to this thing I went to, Midwest House, that was happening kind of outside of the show. When South by is working at its best, what would make it, like, what was a good year at South by for you? You're like, oh my God, that was incredible. I can't wait to go back next year. Like, what made it good?
It's similar to what made good ORs good, is that you had a combination of knowing you could go there and learn and connect with people in the industry. So like the conference itself was popping. You would go to, I would spend more time at the convention center during the day and then go to all the parties in the afternoon and in the evening, because there were worthwhile things being talked about in the convention center. There were great conversations, great panels. It felt like it wasn't a waste of time. And this year there was hardly anything going on in there. And then you had all of the things in a good South by was the opportunity to actually discover music. So there were enough artists, enough bands there, just like there are enough brands at a good OR or a good trade show in the outdoor industry, that you felt like, okay, I could see the ones that I want to see, and then I can discover ones that I'm not familiar with, and maybe that changes, what I write about or whatnot. And in the music industry, maybe here's a band that I want to pursue working with. So it's similar. They're trade shows, their conferences. The best of the best is where you can get business done, you can get discovery done, and you can get connection.
There it is.
That's all. Just guys,
there it is.
Hire me. I'll be your conference.
And pop-up sex toy shops. That was the other thing.
Listen, that's been missing from all professional conferences, I hate to say.
All of them. Except for like the AVN Awards. That's the only one.
They've really cornered the market on that.
We figured it all out. Look at this. One time on the show. This is why you're the GOAT.
That's right.
You came on, got it all dialed in. Now next week, Justin's going to be back. Everyone's like, oh man, where's the sex toy conversation?
I mean, Justin, listen, I passed the baton. That is not a euphemism.
Yeah. wrap it up right there. All right, that's the show for today. We want your emails, especially about this episode. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. The Rock Fight's a production of Rockfight LLC. For Shawnté Salabert, I'm Colin True. Thanks for listening. And here to take us out, it's someone who probably was not at South by Southwest. I don't know if he's ever been there, but Krista Makes from Less Than Jake. He's here to sing the Rock Fight fight song. And we'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock fight.